Yeah. This is the man from Buzzwalk, better known as Jaboni, the badass, coming to you live and direct from London, UK. First, I want to say maximum respect to my elder, Pretty Walks, and his Empress, Sister Lana. I also want to say maximum respect goes out to Maxman and his family. I want to say respect goes out to all the original foundation people from Bakawal. I want to say love and respect to my good sister up there in Bristol, Sister Dainty, original Parkites. This program today is dedicated to all the militant youth that respect this struggle and know this is a continuous struggle, a life journey for I and I. Recently, I reach out, and I have been reaching out to my brothers and sisters in, namely, the USA. I have been reaching out for a particular reason. It seems that my reason somewhat is falling short to some of my soldiers. One of my soldiers have called me and we have discussed it. But before he called me, he had sent me a voice note. And with all respect, I asked him and I let him know that I will be utilizing this voice note for one specific reason. So I know why I'm going to use this voice note. I am going to use this voice note to show youth and youth that they can approach me and they are free to say anything come to their mind where they not overstand. Them free to criticize me. Them free to bash me. Them free to do anything because Rasta, that is the freedom way I and I did have, where anything a guy say and it not sit well, you can just tell a guy, take a walk with that. So, with all due respect, I'm gonna let you hear now how one of my personal schoolmate, who is my brethren from school, and I have a big son that is also my son. Because my son, my brethren's son and my son. That's how we did go. My sister's children is also my children. Because I is I brother's keeper. So, what I want to know now, not because I mean him brother, that no means you can't come tell me how you feel about any given situation that I'm on putting down. So, I gonna make the item here now. How Japal talk to I with all due respect. Boom Donovan, again, Paul never even too like how me talk to you. So we have to know me and Paul chop up that too. I'm sure Paul say me already apologize to like found at the group. But before I start my program, I want to tell you now, Boom Donovan, I want you to take me out of that. I want you to take me out of that group because hear what now? And music we not discuss, and right now me not feel no music. So right now, too much things that it's like a distraction. Nobody not talk about no struggle and music we not talk about. So no can go and dance. No depend go no depend. No disrespect. So watch me now. Hear me and drop you all our reason now.
Buzz Rock. John Buzz Rock. I don't love how your sound higher. But the man sounds so like the man are desperate. The man I look Fred from GC them than that. Yo, you have to be careful how you deal with the thing, uncle. And you don't know me and talk to you, me not this in no time. You understand? You as a man with your caliber, you talk certain way. You have to be careful because you will give people some different impression, you know. You have to know, say, a two side of the argument and a whole heap side of the argument because you have to remember, say, you have different time period where the thing change. Because in the civil rights movement, everybody did get together. You understand? You see, after when the 70s come on and the cocaine era come in, era that go come in, and that's where the things start changing. And you have to know, say, you know, because you have an elder. When every dog them it does come here. Seeing, because I remember you get captured in the whole of the 80s, you know, so enough of them things you know, too really real. But the Virginia they are from in the early 70s, you know, back on a yard now. But at them man of the day, when every dog it come in, and every dog of them man that work in every dog, because them man they are from them a youth and go school. And them man they tell you, he said, the man them usually I take them on, I call them banana boat boy. You understand? And me have virgin now where come here from in the 80s now. But they are now. I'm a virgin. From me and him grow from the yard. The man are coming from about 85, 86. And I see him kind of argument with the same American, black American them. Banana boat boy and go back by your boat and rare one bag of things. So you find say that generation you know start come and get you now. So them start give them youth them kind of amends there. Whosoever get it. And then now when the cocaine era will come in now, the thing so loose where the liberty amongst the black American them did loose. So when time a man come here and them thing there, I want no one to associate with that. You understand? And the man them where I deal with the street is like a rivalry because the job thing come in now, a man a fight for turf. Both black and black American them a fight for turf and man them a come from yard other place now come in and a fight for turf. So it bring a vibes. So all of this thing where you see them and them attack. Them have some truth in it, but it's not a overall thing. And them have certain jealousy in them too. You understand? Because we have the thing on a level where we influence global and them jealous about that because of them alone, even other Caribbean people to jealous. Same way. If you go to England, same thing. So we have to understand the levels and you not talk and not talk like and not talk certain way like how you do. I try bring down the thing and I try. You have to know where you talk to party. You have to know where you talk to car. You talk them way they know you put more fire upon just them look up. Jealous fuel. Because when you take a start now, instead of them a look for who are the real enemy, you know the thing. Them a look for some look a few people where who don't understand themselves because people them with the thing I know say everybody we are foreigner have a black American friend too and link with whosoever I deal with certain things. Because nobody now come here and know say certain lifestyle and anything that wanna go run go each up around. So we have to understand the level that. You understand the level of careful how you talk and you start so like a sellout and a traitor to the thing. You understand? Because where them are dealing and where the thing I go and I just be a confusion and madness and some jealousy in it too. I tell you, believe you say I'm there so. You understand? So there's some thing that other. Yeah,
Yes. Sorry. Now, in response to the voice note, I listen carefully to every word when you typing caution about. And me and him chop it up first night. But yes, I'm asking, I make him know so I go run the program now to answer that. Yeah. There is prejudice everywhere you go in life amongst us too. I nah look no friend, and we're not supposed to look no friend from a black brother and black sister. So just the fact that you even use the word them, it is like you are say black American as them. So right, so you and your meds and your anyone who thinks that black America is them, they don't have it wrong. Yeah, because I speak of us, meaning all of us. There is no them amongst us. Wherever I go, is us and them. So you have to just balance that now. So if you run into a black brother and the most say you're a coconut nigga, then we're wrong with that. That's how him think. So me not take on them little thing, a man I say, why go back where you come from. That not even dropping on my thing. I'm not going to try to even get in that kind of talk there with nobody. Because I now know where I go. Especially back. Now, what I now overstand, I start off by saying in the liberation time it was just us. So at this I'm on there. I try to keep it where it's supposed to be, which is us and them. Now, what I don't like is when a man I go hear my program and I go scrutinize it, limited in scope. Because it's like you tell me say now because me I sure say the people them right in them thinking that are gonna make me be a sellout. Well, if that are gonna make me be a sellout, then me sell out. Because me I tell you the truth that the people them right. In every aspect. In every aspect of the bigger picture of us and them. Come like we have a serious self-hate for our blackness. That's how me start, You hear me ask Bongo Trevor say, Jamaica is a little small island. I'm ask Bongo Trevor say, keep in mind, America, black population, swallow you up so many times. you dead up on the ground and you see what you say. Who wear more false things in a black woman culture than our woman? Because when me up on the ground America and I tracks with my American sister in them, nobody never learn no false nothing. There was no false nails then. And none of the sisters them when I move with never have no false here. There was no artificial enhancement and all them things there. I never deal with them things there. So how comes our young generation hate them blackness? Start with we don't even want make the thing look like we are top no one, you know, but we have to just make it a spade be a spade. Bujo come do a tune say him love him browning and it just turn the whole what Bujo they are meds. Yeah, when did that meds when him talk about him love him browning as opposed to say him love him sisters. You see, so we have this color thing where in our psyche where we practice amongst ourselves and bring it out openly amongst ourselves. So it's like every man just want a big body brown girl. Yeah. And every DJ start DJ about that. And every video will come out, a data come out. A big body brown girl. So how, tell me if that not sell out. Who was sell anything? If me a preach say me want back in a unity with my black American brother and sister them, so them can start function with I and I again as one, compared to some DJ and some artists where I sing about, where them I sing about. Cause at them I promote the self-hate, you know. We as promote the self-hate by ourselves, you know. And then we are turn around and I say, a TV I do it, a this I do it, a that I do it. So how comes TV never have not that great influence on I generation? How comes Ija Beast, after doing 15 years, come out and it's like me stronger than before. Me tougher now, you know. When me going, me never know half of what me know. So me going to tell you something now. I don't want to know how a man could have done 45 years of prison and come out and still stand firm. 37 years of prison, 30 years of prison, 25 years of prison, 27 years of prison, 15 years of prison, and come out and still stand firm. Let me tell you the secret. In my time when me I grew up, it was us and them. When this movement Rastafari was put together, it was put together to beat down all system globally. So I and I did set up I and I sovereignty. So I and I was not part of no system from day one. I and I never work within no guidelines, no rule, no regulation of any Babylonian system. Hence, me just do what me do with my gun. Right. So anywhere I go, I just pick up my gun and work my gun. I tell you now how the program did set. Now, when me get captured, you hear me say, me not get arrested. Me get captured. Yeah. Badass get captured. Yeah. But check the record. Them tell Badass freeze. And Badass say, no man. I know winter this. Not the name freeze na me thing. And me and them rustle the thing out of my hand. So me never put up my hand on my ear and say, here comes badass, can't me go lock my way. No. Go check my files. Me and them rustle that out of my hand. Then take my thing. Yeah. 4 of them jump on me and take my thing out of my hand. Maybe first now, they might just blow me away. So me I show you now how my program and how the wider vanguard, how we were able to deal with the struggle. When I man end up in the prison yard, every black man in every prison yard, back in the days, when we meet, we declare ourselves prisoner of war. Because it was war between I and Babylon. Wherever we go. Babylon can't make no rule, no regulation with badass have to govern by. No. Babylon rules and regulation is there. I violate it. And if you get captured, then you don't say, yo, you're an original lawbreaker. So, I feel them rule, them set them rules, and you take your chance of enforcing I rules. So that's the thing there. Now, if I feel, say, me I reach out and it come across like a friend me I look, then why it look like you look upon me I say, very limited. Now, I try call the doc just now, because the doc, they don't want to come chop up how we reach where we reach right now, because a nation, the doc said, I say I can't get the doc. Well, we can't get the doc, but we're going to keep trying. Now, the next one of my good sister, as I say, Sister Dainty, where I grew up with. No, not Sister Dainty. When I am on good brethren, because many of them I have, send a program, I am on brethren by the name of Little Dread. Send a program where I want to share with the item 1 minute.
All you've ever heard is that Europe is a land ruled by white people, and that black-skinned people are immigrants there. Unless you're a historian, you probably take this as a fact. Or you may not have ever thought about it. Either way, there have been rulers that were black. And in this video, we are going to look at 10 of them. In cases where there are shortage of evidences of the rulers being black, the nomenclature can assist by indicating what they look like. Without further ado, let's look at the 10 black rulers that led in Europe. Number 10. Cadmus. We wanted to start the list off with someone that has had a major impact on Europe, allegedly. A figure of Greek mythology who got into history books primarily by taking the Phoenicians' alphabet and adapting it to form the written language of the Greeks. He is considered the founder of Thebes, an important city in ancient Greece, probably named after the original city of Thebes in ancient Africa. According to Greek mythology, he was the son of Agenor, a Chemite from Memphis in Africa, son of Poseidon. His mother, Telephassa, was the daughter of Nilus deity of the river Nile in Africa. So based on his lineage, he was a descendant of Africans in a time when Greeks.
Yes, Master Man.
Yes, King.
Yes. That.
Mary J. the Brethren.
Yes. No, forgot the so. That cake this morning was horrible. I couldn't get it. Yeah, so right now, we're live now. So I want you to take me from take me through the nation, Billy.
Give me a few minutes.
Right?
Right, come here, me not something right now. Let me finish it up and call you right forward.
Because I have to make a move quick, it's just that I just want to cover the nation.
No, I am going to do it, but give me a few. I have something to take off at a certain minutes. Easy.
So stand by for the doc. Because I like to do things a certain way.
Greeks describe their gods as well as the Chemites, or ancient Egyptians, as very dark-skinned people. Number 9, Europa. For the next figure, we stay in ancient Greece, and even in Cadmus' family. Europa, who was Cadmus' sister, and one of someone you might have heard of wives, the infamous Zeus. Her blackness is proved through Cadmus' lineage, since they were siblings. She was born in Phoenicia from the same African parents. According to Greek mythology, while in Phoenicia, Zeus saw her. Astonished by her beauty, he turned into a white ox and approached her. He kidnapped her and took her to his land, where she became queen. It is believed that the continent of Europe was named after her. It may be a bit hard to believe today, but the European continent is named after a black queen. Please don't forget to miss the number 1, because it is gonna blow up your mind. Number 8, Hannibal Barca. Let's head out of Greek mythology and look at a more recent and perhaps a more well-known historical figure. The famous Hannibal Barca. Born in Carthage, or present-day Tunisia in Africa, around 247 BC, he was the son of Hamilcar Barca, a Carthaginian general at the time. As the son of a general, Hannibal was bound to take hold of the military, defend and preserve his land, and conquer others. And that was the case when he went to war with the Roman Empire, actually in a series of them, more popular known as the Punic Wars. He is known for his crossing of the Europe Alps using African elephants. At first, victory was on his side, and he managed to defeat Roman forces and even reached Rome's capital. At this point in time, he ruled over present-day Spain. He was about to defeat the mighty Roman Empire. But unfortunately, because of his patience, he let the Romans recover from their defeats. They recovered their land and forced Hannibal into exile. Later on, Hannibal will commit suicide rather than surrender to the Romans. The proofs of him being an African, aside from his birthplace, include a coin minted in Italy with his face on it, and that face was a black African man. Number 7, Danis. Danis was born, unlike the explorer rulers of his time, not in Phoenicia, but in Kemet, in Africa. He was the king of Libya in Africa, and was the son of King Belus. He had 2 brothers, Egyptius, king of Arabia, and Cepheus, king of Ethiopia. This was a way for the Greeks to show the common origins of Libyans. Egyptians and Nubians, who are even considered as sons of Ham, father of all blacks in the Bible. So we have enough evidence to affirm that he was indeed black and African, according to the Greeks. According to Greek mythology, Danis is thought to have ruled the city of Argos in present-day Greece. Egyptius, Danis' brother, had 50 sons, and Danis had 50 daughters. Egyptians proposed a plan to marry his sons to Danish daughters, 4 of which were the daughters of Europa. Danis refused and fled to Argos, which was ruled at the time by a king called Pelastus. That king, oddly enough, was succeeded by none other than Danis. It is also believed by some that the Argead dynasty might have something to do with Danis, meaning that he might be an ancestor to Philip of Macedon, whose son is none other than Alexander the Great. So, Danis the African was a very distant ancestor to Philip of Macedon and his son Alexander the Great. Before we proceed, we would like you to know that in ancient and medieval Europe, people who had a different skin color were named after terms that explained that their skin was black. Some rulers in this list are, aside from their official name, known as and were called Moors, meaning they were from the North and Western Africa. Others, especially in Roman Empire, were named Niger or Afer, words that mean black. The word Afer might also be a root word for the naming of the whole continent of Africa. Number 6, Pescennius Niger. This emperor is said to have been the first black emperor of Rome. Although he didn't even last a year on the most powerful seat of Europe at the time, his rise to power was unconventional in its methods. He was appointed by the previous emperor, Cadmus, as delegate in Syria, and while he was there, Cadmus was succeeded by a man named Pertinax, who was in turn murdered and succeeded by Cadmus' close man, Didius Julianus. Pescennius Niger, upon hearing what had happened in Rome, where he was still very popular, managed to take the throne and proclaim himself as emperor. The empire was divided, and rivals started revolting from all corners. In a few months, Niger was murdered, and the new emperor was crowned. Niger was born in the Roman Empire, but the exact place is unknown. It is assumed that because of his dark skin, which is also the reason his name was Niger, meaning black, somewhere in Africa. Another reason to believe that he was an African can be that he served in a higher position of government in Egypt during his earlier years. Before we move towards number 5, why don't you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you get latest updates from us. Number 5, Marcus Ophelius Macrinus. As for Emperor Marcus, there is little to no doubt of him being an African. He was born in what is now known as Algeria, in a place now called Shirkia, although it was known as Caesarea when he was born. He ascended to the throne of the Roman Empire after a few years from when Pescennius Niger came to be emperor, 23 years to be exact, and lasted for just about a year on the throne, just like his fellow African. His reign was so short-lived that he didn't even manage to literally sit on the throne. He never went to Rome, the capital, as emperor. During his reign, he tried to resolve conflicts with neighboring kingdoms, Parthia and Armenia, in a diplomatic way, and succeeded for the most part. His diplomatic endeavors resulted in the depletion of the empire's treasury that led to a riot. His predecessor's aunt took advantage of the situation and managed to put her grandson on the throne. Macrinus was executed in the war that followed. However short his reign may be, he will be remembered as an African who held the highest power of his time. He was said to have been of Mari origin, meaning a Moor from Africa. Number 4, Nicephorus Phocas. Let's go from the Western to the Eastern Roman Empire. Now, we find a ruler who had a different policy of handling foreign affairs, quite opposite to Macrinus. Nicephorus
Yes, Doc.
Yes, kid.
Yes. I am here breaking down the trad from Bushwhack Bacawal, telling the world and the nation that when this movement incept come about, the information that is privileged today was not accessible to the founding fathers of this movement. Yet, I was able to use the crowning of the king to set up I own black sovereignty. And I'd like the I to come expand upon that. So the world can hear now that this thing never set up under no Bible or no religious aspect. So with all due respect, brother, come and lay out of the darkness and
Yes.
I bring this to light.
Yeah, give thanks for the opportunity to serve. First and foremost, Rastafari has never been, was never, and will never be a movement. That's a misconception that was injected into Rastafari by guys within the University of the West Indies, Chapahanis, Nicofers, and the other them there. They are the one that first called us. If you look at the characteristics of a movement, Rastafari doesn't have those characteristics at all. Rastafari, and when you talk to the ancient Rastafari, them say them is a livity. That's how the Rastafari classify himself. Ancient livity, without mother, without father, without beginning of year, ending of time. And what? So where you come from? Where you get that from? And the man go forward and ancient ideals. Livity. That is how Rastafari livity was. Now, what happened now, you have some dude who call themselves scholars, but it look like them skull school. Because if them was really scholars, then they would have fully understand the dynamics. Case in point, there's a thing that we read in a whole lot of books, and it's called the transatlantic slave trade. And that particular slave trade began in the 15th century. Yet, during the 15th century, there was no Atlantic. There was no Atlantic Ocean, so how can there be a transatlantic slave trade when there was no Atlantic Ocean in the 15th century? What was called in the 15th century was the Ethiopian Sea or the Ethiopian Ocean. So what you have was a trans-Ethiopian slave, not transatlantic, because the Atlantic was named until 1600 and reason of the 17th century. And slavery started in the 15th century. So me want to know how can they juxtapose or equate them kind of misconception there. And the whole of we follow the stupidness. Because all throughout you find books upon books and scholars upon scholars who school repeat the misconception of Atlantic slavery when it's the trans-Ethiopic. Because as you're looking at any ancient map, you see the Ethiopian Ocean, look at any whole atlas that you see. So it's the same way now them juxtapose and misconceptualize the essence of the transatlantic slavery. It's the same way them do the same thing with Rastafari, where the dude from the university them, because them figure them so bright, them identify Rastafari how they wish to and start now equate I with other movements throughout earth when Rastafari is a unique entity, a sovereign entity. And none of those other groups, what I say, Rastafari is a sovereign, is a sovereignty. And what does sovereign mean? We not bend, we not bow, we not belong to no church, we not belong to no group. It's a sovereign entity that is unique to creation. And as the brethren would have said, no, it come from ancient time. So that misconception, one fool make many, the whole of it start follow suit. And start, look at it now. Why they did that was to entrap us into certain new political setting. Because once them do that now, then they and the Central Intelligence Agency, KGB, MI5, all them now can they infiltrate and undermine it because we are quote unquote a movement. And the movement is set up for a particular reason. But the liberty now of Rastafari, which is a sovereign entity, recognize that there is no king named George. So in Bono, King George V, that is how Rastafari look. In Bono, the whole papacy as in Rome. Rastafari burn out the KG blind and the whole of them. You see, because Rastafari was never equated to them. That's why when I'm virgin like Leonard Owen come in, that's the first thing. That's why it's sedition them charge them on the fire. Because you think sedition was a church thing? No, it was because they decide that they are no longer going to adhere to the British parliamentary system of the island of Jamaica, but instead stick to their anciency coming from Ethiopia. And as such, they recognize their king as Emperor Haile Selassie I. That no ruffled a lot of feathers. The system never too happy. Because remember, it's a British bulldog system that instilled that we must adhere to once and for all Jesus Christ as the Almighty and the kingship as a divine defendants of kingdom and kings. Rastafari burn that out, say, we're not into that. We are totally in opposition to that. But their cronies now try to undermine us, because remember the University of the West Indies is an agent provocateur for the Westminster system of governance. And their cronies now start make information that is counterproductive to what this liberty is all about. So once we go forward to the root of Rastafari, there's for example, a reverend named Reverend Claudius Henry, for example. Reverend Claudius Henry, him was an ordained minister. And we didn't realize what God had to take of that. To this day, his son is the first person executed on the island of Jamaica for treason. And treason have nothing to do with church. Treason is statical thing where a man is in opposition to the governance that he faced within the Caribbean island of wood and water. See, so even today, that's why I black in the eye, when I reason with the eye, Jaboni, I said 90% of us who classified ourselves as Rastafari is totally ignorant to the root of Rastafari and why we could see a man and call a man the Godhead, which is an ancient Ethiopic practice. From anciency, long before there was a Christian liberty. And see the hypocrisy now, right? Jesus, the person them call Jesus, they are classified him as a Jew, right? Yeah. Yet, Paul and them established Christianity. Them never established Judaism, even though they say he was a Jew. So if them can do that, why can't Rasta idolize them and glorify Emperor Haile Selassie if Haile Selassie is a Christian? The same knife will stick sheep, stick goat, and if one of these things can be recognized and realized, then we show the hypocrisy. So I and I now chant that down and say, no, it's Haile Selassie. And the Emperor Haile Selassie said to us, he says, he is equally emperor for the Christian, the Muslim, the Jews, and the pagan. No, Rastafari is not a Christian. Rastafari is not a Jew. Rastafari is not a Muslim. So then guess which cat pick me? I'm a pagan. And what does pagan mean? Non-aligned. Not being part of the religious conceptualization that the status quo bring to us. That's all pagan means. But with our limited education, we look at pagan as being a dogmatic term. And it's not. It just means non-aligned, don't belong to. And that's why education now become the key. And the Emperor of Ethiopia, Emperor Haile Selassie, had two titles. He was the chancellor for the university, which he used a palace and turned it into a university. And he never turned no palace in no church. He turned church in a university and educational facilities. And he was also the minister of education. How many world leaders have taken those positions? Now, when it comes to liberation, as we were speaking about earlier, Emperor Haile Selassie is a liberator. There's a virgin from out that spent many years in prison, known as Nelson Mandela. Do you know that Nelson Mandela first gun was given to him by Emperor Haile Selassie and an individual, a general, to train him in guerrilla warfare to free Algeria, that we know as Ethiopia? These are historical facts. The first time Nelson Mandela was armed in the armed struggle is Emperor Haile Selassie armed him to liberate. And it went to the extent that 3 weeks before he died, the former president of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy, states, upon receiving Emperor Haile Selassie I as a guest, him say, there is no other human being on earth that is worthy to be a guest of the United States more than this second man from Ethiopia. Him say what this man from Ethiopia have done in liberating these 30 odd countries from colonial thing is unprecedented in history. We're talking about the American president, talking about His Majesty as the liberator of the countries from Africa. 3 weeks later, them does him. Now, we can say, is it cow or goat incident? Or we can say there's a collaboration between the two. You take your pick. See, so do not, and I'm encouraging my brothers and sisters, don't worry, see yourself as no movement, because you start undermine who you are. You're a nation that is domiciled, cast asunder. You're a sovereign nation that pay homage to Germawi, Kidamawi, Haile Selassie. And that's where it's at. And many people find it hard to believe, but we not do things to please people. Men and people, we say lightning and thunder. We not please men and people. We do things that we know is justifiable and is right and is truth. And you can't shake the truth from its foundation no matter how you try to. And to all our historians, once again, who have this misconception of the Atlantic slave trade, we'll come again, because it's the Ethiopian captive, because the water mask was known as the Ethiopian Sea, the Ethiopian Ocean. In fact, during those times, the entire continent of Africa was named Ethiopia. Go look up any map. You have Google. You can go look it up as we speak.
As we speak just now, when the I saw just now, is that program I did run right now on the program where I established that Europe was once ruled by 10 of us at different stages through the trad. Now, why I can stand in agreement with the ISL about nation building and count as a and the mystic revelation, they already established that from in the 50s that I was the only domicile here in Babylon.
Aye.
So what I want to know is iron a sharpen iron. Because after I get captured, I just explain to them that I get captured and I could have deal with the situation of being captured because I was not part of Babylon. Hence the
because I was a prisoner of war. A prisoner of war where nation fights against nation.
And I explained that all the black brothers that was down with I in any of them prison yard there, at that time, I saw myself as prisoner of war. And we just know, say, either we'll go over the wall or we have to escape. We have to escape. And we fight and dig the system until the system realize that them people are some different kind of people. And when I come out, I come find, like I say, the movement. And then such man go do Exodus and it becomes that thing like we supposed to go somewhere now and get stop up somewhere in Europe there and stuck up in Europe we're stuck right now where all the things set now is like every one of our youth them and everybody now gone in a one love, gone in a multiculture, and the only place them want to go in a Europe.
Fireman, you see, when it comes to the ones them that is in North America there, it's the same thing them do with them, you know. Them call them Indian and tribes and all them things there. When they were native, they were the nation, the Cherokee nation, the Apache nation. They were all nations. But in order to subhumanize them, you give them some little corrupt names. Because automatic with that name now, you know, come a certain mentality. And at that them try to do to I and I. But you we stand strong and stand predominant. We never bow to that. That they call in. I and I maintain I and I sovereignty. And as I say, when we're sovereign, we no bow to nothing. That's what that sovereignty means. Yeah, I said, once can I look up a sovereignty mean, you know? Subsequently, look it up.
Well,
so do want them to listen to what I say, you know? Because you always say, no, we don't want to indoctrinate, because we don't indoctrinate ones. You know? We encourage ones to know, because the greatest thing is to know. You're going to the ancient hieroglyphs. Man, know thyself. So we want to know, all we can do is give a man a little inkling. So if you know, can go looking at himself. We're not doctrining nobody. And Rastafari, where is the Rastafari crusade and inquisition? Where are they? This is a system that had crusade and inquisition that murder countless people. We are talking about God and divinity. Lightning and thunder for that.
Well, I guess so it stand with I and I now because I keep a tell people on this program say, don't come talk to me about no Bible. Don't come talk to me about no spirituality. And these type of things where I go through my mind of confusion and liberation or nothing.
But that's what it's about. You have to liberate your body, mind, and yes, you have an iris because that's your trinity as it's termed. Your trinity is your physical structure, your mental structure, and your heretical structure. So we're supposed to hold them, pose it to us, throw it in our dopey form. Your spirit is not a dopey. That's your intuition. See, but the ones don't, this is proper terminology, change the dynamics. So once we label it in the right way, because if you go inside that one store and them put the rat poison and call the rat poison season, you go buy the rat poison and kill yourself for now because it's mislabeled. So it's the same thing now, God, with things is oftentimes mislabels and it take us wide. So we as peel off the label and put the right thing into perspective. Because when the guys are dude inside of England, you know, we name Jimmy Stewart. Most man in Britain don't know who Jimmy Stewart is. I see him King James, you know. Jimmy Stewart, where the name, you know. And then them give him that name there upon the ascending the throne. Just like how His Majesty as Rastafari or Nego Stafari is crown carnation in this highly Selassie. See him here? Because this is a part of monarchical structure where ones get a crown name from time to time. So this brother, Jimmy Stewart, I am seeing one, a little scoundrel. Yeah, we say a scoundrel who not like it bite it.
No. Tell I something. Did it? You did
yes.
it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Listen.
Look like you like to be plugged in the file. But yeah, gotta step on Jimmy hard. Anyway, well, we may try to build forward now because here it is me I reach out now because there is a shift in this whole liberation free movement struggle. Now, I sojourned in the US for quite some time now. I want to tell I how long I sojourned in the US.
Well, four decades and counting.
With
Movement in different ways.
man.
4 decades and counting. So
Yeah.
after 4, the next thing is 5.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I have black up in the eye, 45 strands
Yeah.
within just the eye. And I, but you see what we say is we keep moving. We don't turn to the guys
Yeah.
into, we have to educate ourselves, we go to different places and different educational facilities to get the foundation and knowledge, because the education to us is to give us the discipline as to how to do things, because oftentimes man is in discipline. So we are not swatters. We just learn the technique of how to educate oneself. And once we gather that, then we can get on our own to educate ourselves, because of the discipline of the school system. And that's why I say develop school system. And societies, generally speaking, develop school system, because above all else, it teach one's the discipline as to how to enhance oneself. And if you have a society without discipline, then the society gonna go wayward. It's gonna be problematic. So that's what we gather. That's what we gather from it, and that's why we can come here and in a humble way and a truthful way disseminate information and encourage one. So not to listen to us. Use what we provide to go help oneself, so one too can know it. I know it, you know. That's why I can say it. But I am everyone that is listening here. We want the ones that we know it too.
Well,
no, just come on, say this, you know, on the man say this, and really. No, we want the ones that we know it. And when you know it, it becomes part of your fabric.
Yeah, man. The shift where I talk forward. No. That I find it disturbing, and I reach out to my brothers and sisters in the US, because there's a certain level of respect that due them for what they go through to kick down some door that I could have come.
Stick up in. It was a brother come out of the church system here, Reverend James Morris Webb, who kicked down some door for it too, because him make the statement, look to Africa, where a man shall be crowned, and in him you will find the Redeemer.
Yeah.
That is how man that say so. He's a little man out of Harlem. We oftentimes give them things to Marcus Garvey, but it's myth. Marcus Garvey never said nothing like that. Sorry for the Marcus Garveyites them, but the church is an offense, but never a sin. The church is a church.
That's what I is here today now, fit. Lit down all of these myths and to show how when I go, I used to burn Garvey, you know, because I didn't know it different. But now that we have to balance and make everyone stand on them own in terms of we not take when a man glory. NCR give Mr. Webb him rightful glory in a Rastafari standing.
That man, go out and look up Reverend James Morris Webb, WEBB, and you will see said, this are the man, and get the book and read it, and you say, gee whiz, I plagiarize and juxtapose, people have juxtaposed and give something to a person who have nothing to do with anything, and because of that now, we start, say this one is John the Baptist, and he never baptized nothing. And you see out of that now lead a whole series of misinformation.
And misconception.
Yeah, I see. And misconceptualization. Yes, King Man. So it's that way I say, let us go back, and when we look now, we can say, yeah, the same little quote unquote Yankee people, because Yankee, black man can't be a Yankee.
No, will adapt me and tell them, hey, Jabi.
Black man can't be a Yankee, because there's no black Yankee.
Okay.
Yankee are white, Billy. That's like Yankee.
I know that.
I know Yankee. So when you look at the contribution that our brother who was domiciled in the North American region, yeah, of the Americas, because Jamaica is part of the Americas too, you know.
And
But
I
it's the
already
Caribbean region
established
of
that.
the Americas.
And I already established that. That's where
You see,
we are talking about a brother and sister in the
we're
America.
brother and sister, but in order to divide us, we know start. Wow, look at that little man there. So, but when we look at the command of Israel, realize the little man with the Melody Club. I hope they saw it there, the Rastafari Club. Anybody knows that there was a Rastafari Club long before Carnation? The ones are here, like, straight and recognize the magnificence of that little boy, that little young youth, Lich Tafari, the Jazz Mastafari, Rastafari, and Ego Stafari. Tafari, as Rastaman say. Because Rastaman go to high consciousness. Because Rastafari saying at the beginning it was the concept of I. And that was I, straight first. See it? Yeah, so I and I. So Rastafari, so up to speed that Rastafari say. Him not say ABC, you know, because AB can't see. I see.
See it?
Yeah, I see. So you see, some things are Rastafari in the foundation of Rastafari. We say, oh, that's cloning. But when you go deeper into it, when Rastafari don't eat not by white, I say, hey, what kind of silliness that? Then later you learn, say, white need refined. So Rastafari don't need no refined flour. He don't need no refined salt. He don't need no refined sugar because it's denatured. No refined oil. But when the man say it, we're not eat nothing white, we look on it in a simplicity. But it, as man evolve, man say, we are ahead of them time. Because them burn out refined food, denatured food, because one know that it was unhealthy for one structure. See, I approach, you know, the buy not a shop, you know.
And I know that.
The wild food, the man going on the inside of the interior does eat anything where him see the goat eat any vegetation, because we only eat like a cabbage, like a broccoli, like a thing. Look how much of the thousands of vegetation that we can eat. And we are about to say we are dead for hungry. And they are eatable, and also they are non-manipulated by human beings. So therefore, them have a certain level of nutrients. But when I say you must go take up pies yourself, so you look at the critter, you look at the and you watch these other animals. Now say, okay, if him can name it, you can name it too, because these are vegetarians. And you eat it, and then you find, say, you nourish you, and you can live for a long period of time with a consciousness. See, look how the people fight against ganja. And what you know, they must say ganja can fix this and fix that and fix this and fix that. But the hypocrisy of that, another hypocrisy. Are we aware that the United States of America Constitution is written on ganja paper?
Yeah.
The Bill of Rights is written on ganja paper? Are we aware that fact that along? Do you know there's a place in the United States named Hempstead? It was an hemp plantation, a ganja plantation. Are we aware that the First World War, if an individual does not plant ganja and go to prison? Not if him do, you know. If he didn't, because that was the crap that financed the war. Are we aware of this reality? Enough Rasta lose them locks, lose them life, go to prison for the same plant. Because of the hypocrisy of the system. Know that they can manipulate it now and make go for the money. No, you hear you can't get CBD, this and cannabinoid, all that, and you can't get that. All the different things. But there's no paper, no papyrus that is stronger than the papyrus or the paper made from the same hemp or ganja. Nowhere. Finally, in closing.
No, Jabi, before the closing, is a connection.
One second, please, with your permission, sir.
Yeah.
Rastaman, all right, what we are saying is, when we look at them worrying about global warming, do you know the plant with the higher biomass, biomass clean the atmosphere is ganja? If them plant up enough ganja, the atmosphere clean and the ozone layer lock up and fix.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
We are dealing with science again. Yes, my brother. You say
No,
you had something to
there's
say.
a connection I want to make because some people in them feelings with some brother and sister in America, right? But at one stage, I remember when Kojo Brown, I stay with the eye.
Yes, I.
And there's a brethren by the name of Fear Ramesses.
Mm-hmm.
And he's telling the world with him now put him out a ground that him is one of Kojo loyal soldier. Now, and I also see Ramesses as one of I and I coming from the same link, the same tree, the same branch, which is Kojo. I wanna I and I because I try to show Ramesses that when Kojo come from the trad in the US, it was to link up with I and make sure that because Kojo was the man that come to the first fact finding from the prisoners.
Well,
And
remember, you know, all of that come through Kumi, you know. Let's be real.
Yeah, because Kumi sent him come.
The catalyst. And then as a soldier from the Kumi estate, Kojo went on that mission. That is it. So we to be fair, we have to pay homage to. And for those who don't know who Kumi is, Multiple Plano. That's the man we are talking about.
Okay.
You understand? That's the man. So he was the catalyst. And out of that will come. And as a matter, even the gang, yeah, who get him name from Leonard Oil. Because Leonard Oil named the gang, you know.
Yeah, I know,
so
I know that.
Gang Garo Mirage, the original gang, and they so, but him took it from Ethiopia, because it's an Ethiopian term. That's why Leonard Oil established what he named the Ethiopian Salvation Society. We was never no movement, it was a nation that was first ever established within the Rastafari liberty. The Ethiopian Salvation Society was a nation within a nation within the island of Jamaica. So coming forward to the bridge you talk about,
yes.
it is important we I and I know continue the link to edify ourselves so we can continue the liberty. Forget about movement, nation building time, live a nation so we can have, because we are a nation have now. Schools, educational facility, healthcare facilities and all those things, and that is where now that's what we are yearning for, to really take the Rastafari liberty to another level when we can have those. And the reason why those things don't exist is because the system, you know, you hear gang say, I think say every time you plant a seed, the man them say lick it down, because them remember waiting that whether it's pinnacle, that them do with pinnacle, whether it is through manipulation or physical exploit from the system, every time that is what happened to us.
But
this is a time
I'm the Scotch part recently, you know.
Yes, it always happens. Because sometimes we get too complacent and giddy because of religion. Because even in the vibration from Casbah become a church.
Yeah.
And that is where the whole thing get messed up. It is great. Because we can't tell a man him can't give ISIS, you know. Because I give ISIS too. That's why I could tell you, I say, we see Robert Nesta Bob Marley in the ISIS. Because we did see him in the ISIS.
Yeah.
And not only that, him called the ISIS himself.
Yeah.
He was only there, you know. And him organized the dinghy.
Yeah.
See, the same like a virgin where we see sing reggae music. See?
Yeah.
These are the reality. So sometimes, because certain things is not known, we have to be careful, because sometimes we say things because of misinformation and because it's lack of knowledge why the people perish. But I and I was there and sight certain things. See, because we are trying this liberty here over five decades, we call it decade, you know. over them time we live this life, so we get a chance now to experience certain things firsthand. We didn't learn it out of a book, even though we read many books. But when it comes to the liberty of Rastafari, Rastafari is a unique philosophy that grew out of the dongle within Jamaica. And when we say the dongle, you know, we are talking about a big region in a Western Kingston and Eastern Kingston. Just Kingston, and that's how it set root.
Well, I come tell them about them still things I just become me that Kingston and me.
No, it's reality, man. Because remember, but remember, when first thing first, the first place that will go try establish something, it was in Pinnacle, you know.
I know that.
Up in a St. Thomas in a next to it, Bogle thing as a revolutionary coming after the footstep of the great Paul Bogle.
Yep.
And they saw it come forth. And then Pinnacle became later on. Yeah, I see it. So let us do the chronology of the truth and then realize what this liberty is all about. And then when these singers and players of instrument who go through, guys, my youth name Jayut. Jayut, them get the respect we deserve, you know.
No, I know that. And I have a speak of him. I have a speak of when I am on youth, I drink. But apartheid. I know the apartheid.
Yes.
So I always call upon the youth because he's still there as a foundation man.
He's still there as a foundation, and what really I expect them for the contribution that they make. All right, one time, you know, I they up inside a Maranatha church, and man get to rent the churchyard, and you know, dance a keep, and big youth now hold on the microphone and say, I will praise you, Jah, with all I heart, and start. Get to the Pope and get to the this. You know, say, me see some brother come out with some white robe and say, lock it down now. Lock it down now. And you see, since he start tell you the amount of armor broke up, should that lead to the listeners read armored barracks, which is the individuals from the upper camp in Jamaica that have jeeps and them bust up man and whip up man and cheat man. On all the man was doing was expressing himself with truth and rights, talking about the atrocities of the Pope, because the Pope them is corrupt to the core. Can I repeat it? They are corrupt to the core. Do we know in 1935, you know, since this thing I go on now with Ukraine, in 1935 when Italy invaded Ethiopia, do you know, so every poison gas aeroplane and the bomb was blessed by Pope Pius XI before it come to Ethiopia? That's why we can't say them corrupt. The man blessed every bomb to blow up a defenseless nation with man, woman, and children. It wasn't even like how the Jew situation was in an incinerator and in a building. The same thing that was done by Hitler was done on the oak terrain to Ethiopia. How many of us is familiar with that reality? 1935 to 1941, which is what started the Second World War. And His Majesty said, today it's for me and tomorrow it's for you. It's your light a match inside of Ethiopia, but was Rome where burned. And so it said, so it was.
Still a burn all now.
So we now in this little comedy this so we are talking about, we recognize Emperor Haile Selassie not because of emotion, but because of who he is and what was done and how the prophetic essence was stated by Reverend Webb, and it come to pass. The President of America, even Mandela do name Billy Graham. You can't find that man either, you know. Billy Graham, an evangelist, the guy, the king of evangelism in a Babylon world. Him said when him search the world to find someone worthy, he don't find nobody else but Haile Selassie, and that the man said. when him search far and wide with the entire creation to find someone worthy, every time him stop, him come right back to Haile Selassie to invite him at them some. See, him never say him find a pope, him never say him find an archbishop of Canterbury, him never influence him on a man, him never say him find a Buddha, him say him find Haile Selassie as the only person worthy. Remember, I know, now I say, don't just thinking Rastaman at that, right now. It is the illustrious Billy Graham. Dig that. Yeah, dig. So we come here to set the captive free and to drive away transgression and to rule like quality. Yes, that is what we come here to. Set the captive free to drive away transgression and to rule like quality. Because I saw, we say, that's why Rastaman said death to black and white oppressor. We say death to oppression, tyranny, and all those things. At the same time, we say peace and love. Because guess what? We have to love each other. Because if we don't love each other, we can't chant down the other.
Yeah.
So it go. And as I've said to you earlier today, and you said this kind of stuff, I look at creation as a vehicle. What we say is that the world is like a car, and you have 4 races, or like the 4 wheels. You have the red race, you have the yellow race, you have the black race, and the white race. To give it colors, color coded for a minute. Those are the 4 tires on the vehicle. Every other thing is amalgamation of the race, where 2 and 2 combine together for amalgamate. But in their purified sense, these are the 4 that exist. No. The race are the tire that do have no rim or flat on the black tire. The creation can't advance without you fix that tire, because the tire have to fix the world move forward in earnest. So anybody who considers himself a Caucasian, a white person that is listening, God tell you right, brother and sister, if you leave Africa alone. That's if you can tell the people them. Similarly, if you're an exploiter from Beijing, go tell your Chinese counterpart to left where land alone with people. And if you come from the Indian Peninsula, please do the same. To tell your Hindu brothers and sisters, say, listen, love Africa. Because Africa belongs to the Africans, those at home and those abroad. Do that, and guess what now? The 4 tires, them will be good.
Yeah, man, we are friend
and
then.
The movements of the Irish and the car can just continue moving forward on the journey. But low way, we alone. We don't want to do nothing. We come to nothing for we. God and already. And on that note, my brother, give thanks to the opportunity. Give thanks to to serve. Give thanks to life. And above all else, give thanks to Grandma Wikidamawi Haile Selassie. Regine, walk good and stay strong.
Same to die, fire. Keep it strong, please. Yes. Yes, my brother and my sister. That was Dr. B from the Dark Oak. Now, why, what can I say now? That I so want when a man link me. Him link me in blackness. You see what the reason they go? Me never have to tell him to shut up. Me never have to tell him to back way. We never have to come after the wall. We sit in humble and make our brother express, because he never come with no church talk and me ears for me hurt me. I never come in no Bible thing. And he never come to indoctrinate anybody. What we are doing is shedding light where there is darkness. So now that you say that I alone with all these belief and these thoughts. Because you're the virgin say 45 years, him know I know. I tried how I'm a captive, him know me, you know. I tried how me I tried with some other soldier link up a link. And today, I is still one and the same in terms of what this trading supposed to be about. Now, I want it more bridging out there, and I look forward to actually bring on some more bridging so them can come express where we did there, where we have come from, and where we have go. So with that, I'm going to make on a penny now and get a full standing say I'm very humble when it comes to dealing with my brother and sister. I can be humble, can be nice, I can be highway, especially to my children. I'm not abusive parents. So with that again, make it be one perfect love. And keep the fire burning those of you that have the king spirit. Perfect love and no same live.